Hello fellow woodworkers, welcome to this week's edition of the Garage Workshop and my adventures in laminating. Roll the intro. So I waited a couple of days for the package to arrive, and it was quite a big box, as you can see. Okay, so fellow woodworkers, the laminate is here, as you'll have just seen me unbox it. Just a couple of things. I got an email from the company, I'll talk about the company in a minute, that said as soon as you get the laminate, get it out the box, get it out of the tube that it's in. It came with two sort of plastic tube things, and lie it on the floor for 24 hours at room temperature. Now, I'm in my gym here, which is outside, but it's pretty much room temperature. And as you can see, there are still a lot of lumps and bumps in this. So I'm going to leave it for another 24 hours. I don't want to start weighting it down or anything like that, but I am going to leave it a little bit longer than it said to do. So when you buy a piece of laminate, if you're going to go for a whole sheet like this, just bearing in mind you've got to have somewhere big enough to lay it down. So I got this sheet from a company called Laminate and Ply. I'll put a link in the description. I actually found the company. I reached out to Mark from Start Woodworking. He's recently done a laminate top on his bench. I'll put a link to his video in the description. I reached out to him. He told me where he got it from. I messaged the company and I got some free samples, which they'll send you out completely free of charge, just so you can see whether you like it or not. And actually, it's quite a good sample. I got a piece that was about the size of like an A4 piece of paper, or if you're watching in the US, like a letter-sized piece of paper. And I decided that the sample they sent me was the matte in this color, but to be honest, I really like the gloss, so that's what I've gone for. Now, this is a full sheet, as they sell on their website. It's 3 meters by 1.2 meters, and it's 7 mil thick. Now, it's not 7 mil thick, obviously. It's more like 0.7 mil, but it's a thick, substantial sheet. So this is a full sheet of laminate. It's 3050 mil, or just over 3 meters, by 1220 mil, or 1.2 meters. It is a big sheet. Now, I've gone for a sheet for this size for a very specific reason. On the website, I could have just gone for a piece of laminate. They do a custom cut. I could have gone for the piece that matches my my new mitre saw station, but this sheet, my workstation, my mitre saw station, is about 1.7 meters long, and it's about 70 wide. So this is going to leave me a chunk about this size left, and it is just enough, fingers crossed I've measured properly, it's just enough to cover my new workbench as well. So this piece of laminate is not only going to do my new mitre saw station, it's also going to do my workbench. So I've never done laminate before, so I thought might as well do both, and hopefully it will turn out okay. So the next stage for me is to just cut this into the 2 pieces, and then I'm going to leave it another 24 hours. Just one thing about the cost of this laminate. It was very expensive. Now, I've no experience of buying laminate. What I might be saying now might be rubbish and it might be cheap, but the sheet of this laminate was $79.99, which was the base cost. On top of that, you obviously have to add value-added tax, which we have in the United Kingdom, sales tax if you're in the US, which was $23.99, and then Laminate and Ply added a £40 delivery charge. Now, it came via UPS, it was here within a couple of days, but I'll let you make your own decision on whether that was an expensive delivery cost. But I'll put a link to the company in it. I should say I paid for all this completely out of my own money. I'm not sponsored in any way by Laminate and Ply, and it is a lot of money, and I did think long and hard about whether I wanted to get the whole sheet and do both or just the one, but hopefully it will extend the life of both of my pieces. So let's get it cut and let's see what it looks like. I was super careful here. I just used a normal Stanley knife with a brand new blade on it and sort of kept going through it. I did actually make a mistake here, which I'll refer to in a minute, but it was fairly thick, the laminate, and it took a few goes even to score it sort of accurately. Okay, so I've cut the laminate. You will have seen Not a massive success. I think the piece that I want to use that's going on my worktop has got a chunk taken out of it. There is a little bit rough there, but I've taken out a little chunk which is on this laminate. I mean, let me just measure it. I mean, the chunk is 3 mm, so I'm hopeful I'm going to get away with that one. The biggest issue, though, is over here. The laminate has split. I obviously didn't score it well enough there, and the laminate has split quite a long way down on this side, which I think means I'm now not going to have enough space, enough laminate to do my worktop. Now, it wouldn't worry me sticking that down with a split in it. At the end of the day, I'm not worried, and like I said, that's not going to last forever. But I think I need 1 m 18 by 1 metre to cover it. And if I take that split out, oh, it should be all right. It says I've got 1 m 22, which I think is enough. And I've got 1 m 22 that way. So fingers crossed it should be enough. And like I said, I got a little chunk out of here, but that isn't a worry. But what I am going to do is take this into the workshop to cut the length of it. I'm actually going to do that on the mitre saw station, so I'm going to do that now. So, fellow woodworkers, I don't know if you've ever had one of these moments, but I'm having one now where you think, I actually don't find this laminate that easy to work with. I know every YouTube video I've seen, they're like, oh yeah, it's super easy to work with, but I'm not finding that. I'm very nervous of breaking it, obviously, because it was so expensive, and I know I've only got one shot, and this is the garage workshop. Something's going to go wrong. But I have measured this up now. The only straight edge I've got is this plank of wood, which is an upcoming project. And actually, this plank of wood, believe it or not, I got it from a big box store, is really straight. So I've put the markings on, and I'm going to go a little bit harder first time, because I think part of the problem that I had before was I didn't score it deeply enough. So this time I'm going to go a little bit harder. And obviously I was worried about the floor in the gym. I'm not worried about this worktop, because this is where the laminate's going, and I can always sand it if I make a groove in it. It doesn't matter. The other piece of laminate, I've just had a look at it, and I think I'm going to get away with that, to be honest with you, because the split is going to be well cut. I actually only need a 1 m 18, and I've actually got 1 m 24. I thought it was 122, but it's 124, so that should be good to go. So I'm going to cut this now. Fingers crossed it goes well. So, fellow woodworkers, as I expected, being the garage workshop, that didn't go very well. The cut was fine. It was better than the first cut. It was breaking really nicely. I got to about here, and obviously I wasn't holding the bit that I was snapping off, and it just fell off. Obviously gravity took it, and it's taken a big chunk out at the end. I think you can probably see how much of that has come off, and obviously that's far too big a section. There's no way I can cover that with the spare that I've got. So when I offer this up and put it edge to edge, so it's on the edge there, bearing in mind I've got a little bit of gap, I've actually got more spare this side than I thought I had. But that is literally putting it on that edge, and I didn't want to put it right on the edge. I wanted at least a millimetre over, because I want to be able to trim it, but I'm not sure now that's going to happen. If I do put it edge to edge, exactly along that edge, which also slightly worries me, because that's a factory that's a factory cut on the plywood, and it's not straight with the factory edge of the laminate. But you know, these things are what they are. So if I straighten it up now, and what I'll do is I'll run the camera around so you can see where we are. So that's edge to edge, that side. And down here, I am literally gonna have a tiny little ragged edge. But, and it is a big but, that's also predicated on the fact that I've got to get the contact cement on and I've got to get it exactly lined up before I start pressing down. If I don't get that exactly on that edge, then what I'm going to have over here is a bigger space. I mean, the one good thing is when I put this on, I can lose that damaged edge on the back corner, so you won't see it as much. And looking at it now, I can literally only see a couple of millimeters of plywood. So to be honest, I might even colour that in with a Sharpie. I did think about trying to cut the piece that's broken off and reattaching it, but I'm not that worried. I think you're not really going to see too much of it. But again, as I said a minute ago, I was very nervous about that. If this was something I could buy and it cost 20 quid, I'll go and get another piece and it wouldn't worry me. But with this laminate being so expensive, and it really was expensive, I felt probably a bit more nervous than I need to be. And if you're doing a project like this, all I can say to you is please learn from my mistakes. I seem to do that a lot on this channel, but please do learn from my mistakes. Just be very careful. I mean, I didn't even think about supporting that end when obviously the weight of the bit I was cutting off got too much. It just went, and because the piece of wood I was using to snap it off the edge of the bench wasn't being supported in that place, it just went, it just snapped. So, you know, these things happen. I don't think it's massive, as in it's not torn the sheet in half, but what it does do is give me an added layer of danger for when I come to do the contact cement, which is the next thing. So let's get on to that now.
I did just give it a quick knockback with 80 grit sandpaper.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is put the coat on. Now, when you look at different videos on laminates across the internet, they all seem to say or do slightly different things depending on the contact adhesive. Now, I'm using the EvoStick Performance Technology Impact Contact Adhesive, which is designed for laminates. It's designed for other things, but it's designed for laminates as well. So I'm just going to put a coat on this and then I'm going to go and lay it in the gym. It says it goes tacky in 5 to 10 minutes, and when it goes tacky, that's the time to put the two surfaces together. So I'm going to do this, put it in the other room because I'm a bit short of space, and then obviously I'll quickly do the top of the workbench. So fingers crossed this bit all goes okay. I'm going to wear a ventilator because it does say use in a well ventilated room. So let's go on and do that now.
This contact cement or EvoStick product was so incredibly strong smelling. If you do this or if you use this product, please do it in a well lit place, well ventilated place. As you can see, I've got my garage door open here, and it actually took quite a long time due to the roller. I mean, I don't know what the best way is to put this on, and I've looked at different YouTube channels where they've done different things. A lot of people have used foam rollers, a lot of people have used rag rollers, some people have used just a normal bog standard paintbrush, but for me, I did go for the roller, but it did leave me a couple of little bits of foam. It was a lot easier on the wood, don't know why, but as you can see, it covered a lot better on there, but I was just really careful, and what I did off screen that you can't see is I checked both surfaces just to pick out any tiny little bits of foam that had come off the roller. I actually did switch rollers in the end because it was just getting a bit too much of it was breaking up on impact. When I did that, I laid it on, offered it up, and got ready to smooth it down.
Okay, it's had long enough. Fingers crossed. Here we go.
To be fair, I got this idea from Mark's channel. He didn't have a posh roller either, and he just used something basic. That's where I got the idea of the rolling pin.
Okay, so how did it go? To be honest with you, more positive than negative. I got the bench pretty well lined up with the laminate, but I have got a little bit of an issue. I'll give you a close-up of this piece at the front. Apologies if you can hear the chickens, they can hear me. Um, this bit at the front where I was trying to overcompensate and not get the split at the back off, I've just slightly pulled it over, which means it's overhanging a little bit this end, and I'm about 2 millimeters of wood showing this end. So there's two things I can do. I can trim the last bit of the wood off to fit the laminate, or I can just live with it. So I have got some like bitumen spray for spraying like roofs, like rubber bitumen spray. So what I might do is just tape that last little bit off where the wood is showing, and just put some of that bitumen spray on it, because that I think will at least seal it in and protect it. And it's literally only a very small strip. It's about that long. So I might do that. The only other thing that is slightly worrying me is all of the overhang is this side. So I've got about a good centimetre or half an inch hanging over. Now, I don't know if it's better to try and cut that off. What worries me is if I try to take that off with a trim router, it's going to snap it. So I do need to think a little bit about what I'm going to do with that.
This footage is heavily speeded up. I really took my time doing this, and I have to say the tin snips worked a treat. It was a really straight, neat cut all the way along, so I'd recommend using those in the future.
Okay, so I've got my trim router bit chopped in there, and I'm just going to give it a go. I have to say I'm very nervous about this. I've just got a horrible feeling this is not going to work, but let's see how it goes.
This is just a standard flush trim bit on my Ryobi router. I have to say I was impressed with this bit. It literally cost me about £2, I think it was, from Temu. It was really cheap, but the blades are really sharp, and I've actually got a Bosch one which is an almost identical size, and when I compared the two, they looked incredibly similar.
Okay, so I have to say, it actually went a lot better than I thought it was going to. Now, there is one cutout, one little tear out on this side, and when I just cut it then with the tin snips, I didn't realise I'd split it. So when I came along with the trimmer, it's just literally taken the top layer of the laminate off, which is unfortunate, but these things happen. But the good thing is at the end where I had the big tear out, the big snap, that is absolutely fine, and the edge is really nice and smooth. So I'll give you a close-up of both of those things, but really pleased with how that's gone. I did go all the way around the edge on this side where I said I had a little bit of a gap. Putting the trimmer on that has actually taken the gap down a little bit. So all the way round, good. So the last thing for me to do now is to take off the film. Actually, I'm going to do the other worktop before I take the film off, just in case. So the next stage is to prep my workbench, and then we'll repeat it all again.
I really took my time with this sanding. Again, I think it's 120 grit I've got on here, but I wanted to get it nice and smooth. This worktop has had a lot of dings in it, so when I came to mark this time and cut the laminate, it was a lot easier. I'd learnt from my previous mistakes.
So that last strip has gone really well. It's a perfect cut, so I've now got a really flat edge on this side, so it's now just a case of putting the solvent on and sticking it down again. So let's do that now.
I had considered using a can of the sort of spray contact adhesive, but I checked and it didn't do laminate. So again, it was back to the very smelly Evo stick. When I got it on, laid it on both again. It's always easier to put that stuff on wood for some reason. Can't tell you why. Next stage was to smooth it all down, which I did a lot easier. Then the very satisfying moment of pulling the plastic off and seeing the mirror top. It was really good.
Okay, Well, you won't be able to see it very clearly, and what I'll do is I'll give you a close-up of it, but my goodness, it looks absolutely incredible. It was definitely the right decision for me to go for the gloss because I just think it looks stunning, and it's pretty flat. The back edge, I'll give you another close up. The back edge has got a couple of little bits out of it, but because it is the back edge, that isn't going to matter too much. So, as you'll have seen, I just did the work bench as well. And I'm really pleased to say I'm happy with how both of them turned out. What I would say is I don't think it's as easy. There's little bits of plastic. I don't think it's as easy as it looks. But then again, this is the garage workshop. If there's a hard way to do something, I'll find it. But I am super, super pleased with how it's turned out. With the exception of a couple of little chips at the back, for a first time experience with laminate, using a lot of skills I've not used, really pleased. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. If it's your first time at the Garage Workshop, please can I ask you to subscribe, like and comment. It is really, really important to the algorithm. And if you are a regular viewer, thank you again so much. Please also don't forget to like and comment. This has been a really good project for me, and one of the reasons why I do this channel is to try and improve my skill set, and hopefully you as the subscribers pick something up on the way. So hopefully you've managed to do that. But as I said, I'm really, really pleased with this project. I hope you have a fantastic week, fellow woodworkers, and I'll catch you on next week's edition of the Garage Workshop. Take care, everybody.